we hike up from this campsite, and like we're standing there, and it's been like it had to have been within 5 minutes, and these like two white lights appear, like they fade in.
This is at eye level now for you, right? You're not up in the sky looking at this. This is like you're looking over at, your neighbor's campground.
So they're almost flush with the ridge, but since it was dark out, where that light was, I can't tell if it was above or below that ridge. It looked like it was like pretty much right along the horizon.
I was not numb all the way when I got a vasectomy. That's about as close as I got.
Yeah, that sounds horrible too.
It was horrible. I'm like, I can feel that. Ow! That's how it was.
Well, did they numb you after? Like,
no. He's like, well, you should.
They just kept going?
Yes. You said, well, you shouldn't feel that because we gave this much. I go, I can feel it. And then they snipped it and they tie a knot in it and they put, but then they solder the ends of it. And that's what I felt was the soldering the ends. And I'm like, oh my God, the pain.
Dude, I fully expected you to be talking shit the whole time about me, Chris.
Oh, I wait for you to be here.
I'm going to refer to you guys as Chris H and Chris M.
All right.
It's like we're back in third grade.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll, someone will say Chris and we'll both respond every time. So
yeah. You could do Harris or Morales, whatever feels best.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Agent Harris,
for sure.
Agent Morales.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mike, dude, appreciate you coming on. I found your post on one of the UFO subreddits. What was it? UFO B or something like that?
Yeah. It's the only UFO alien subreddit that I think I'm sub to. Like a lot of them is just like a bunch of garbage and like, oh, that's fake or like whatever. It's like I just want to hear people talk about stuff. Like,
let's have Mike introduce himself too.
I grew up here in Cincinnati, Ohio, still here. Graduated from UC. I've worked for many of the different medical labs for like Cincinnati Children's Hospital, University of Cincinnati. My last role, I was a research coordinator, so I would like coordinate research material, like transactions between different hospitals throughout the city and different universities. So, if I recognize there's some like medical waste that was being thrown away here, like it's expensive to haul that stuff away because it's, bio waste. But then I would know that there's researchers over here that need these cells that are being filtered out in this process for whatever's going on over here. So I know it's valuable to these people. So instead of having to pay somebody to haul this waste away, we could actually make money from it. I saved up some money. Like I am, 36 years old. Like I need to do something that I love. Like I have so many hobbies, and I'm like, what good is saving up some money if you're not going to use it for anything? And like I'm fortunate enough to have made decisions that I've made, so that I was able to just be like, fuck it, and like literally just walked out one day.
That's a dream of mine. One day I'll be able to do that where I work.
Yeah, I've had this thought as of late. Like it hits me. I'm like, man, I got one shot at life.
Yeah,
this is it.
One
shot, man. You got to have fun.
Yeah,
you got to do
be
something
happy.
you're enjoying. You got to be happy,
right, man.
You got to find a hobby that you can dive into and it could absorb you.
Yeah, and I got a 3-year-old. I don't want to miss she'll be 3 in December. So, but I don't want to miss
awesome.
Those best years. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I can just fucking like. Few people have that little cushion where they can just like stay at home and just spend that time. Like I don't want to miss that.
Well, it's different too when you have the stress of work plus with raising a child.
Yeah.
Right? So if you actually have the time and you're not just trying to squeeze it in, that's what irritates me, man, is when I got, I have to squeeze everything in and it's like, so that's awesome.
You get sucked into it.
And then you got to check your bad mood you come home with sometimes. And you're like, man, I got to turn that off. Try not to bring that stuff home.
Yeah. So
One day.
man, I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. And I'm just like, I'll bet you there's a lot of people that just die with like so much money that just goes to their like anybody that's going to inherit it or whatever. And it's just like
Right.
that is so sad. Like, but also you want to be able, like, you need to have some sort of security. So it's like, and plus I'm getting fucking bored, so I want to go back and just start doing something that I love.
Yeah, what do you think you'll do?
So I've been looking at this outdoor educator position. It's just through the county parks. There's several different. So Hamilton County Parks is like the big park system here in Cincinnati. So
you said it was Hamilton. What was the name of that?
Hamilton County Parks. It's like the park system in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Is that what the Red River Gorge is part of? Like, do they manage that area as well?
No. So the Red River Gorge is about a 2-hour drive south of here.
So when you were camping with your brother 20 years ago or so, right?
Yep.
Were you staying at campsite number 6, or are you out there doing that dispersed camping?
We
call it here in Arizona.
Yeah, okay. I'll refer to it as that. We were at dispersed camping, so we were at Chimney Top. I've also heard people call it Chimney Rock.
Go ahead.
It's off of a gravel road. I think it's called Chimney Top Road or Chimney Rock Road. So I'd gone out there with my brother. I'm sure we were going to be there for at least 2 nights. We would hardly ever go down there just for one night. It was a really bright moon. We had just like made our food on, I don't know if you're familiar with like the little like white gas stoves, like little camp stoves. And we're just like sitting around the campfire, and I don't know if it was if there was a fire ban that night or not, but we didn't have a fire. And our moon, like the moon was just so bright, and we're like, man, this is really cool. And it was probably only around like 10 p.m. And I don't even think we brought flashlights with us. It was just so bright. And we hike up from this campsite, and like we're standing there, and it's been like, it had to have been within 5 minutes. And these like 2 white lights just appear, like they fade in. And they're like, if you were to draw a line between them, it would be like a 45-degree angle, right? And we're just watching them. And it's just so mesmerizing because they just started so they were just a little bit larger than like the brightest light in the sky would be. So like they just look like stars, but they're just moving around like doing circles.
Did they look far like a star would? Like, did they look far away at first, or can you tell that they were close? And real quick, you guys are like teenagers at this time?
I would have been around 17, so that would have made him around 20, 21.
Oh.
No, so they looked. Let me put it this way: that the first time I saw them, they looked further away than the second time I saw them. So the video that you guys have seen, like where they're red in that one, and they're like zipping around, those looked a whole lot closer. But the first time I saw them, I would say, I don't know, like if a few miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, I don't know. Like it seemed like they were like relatively close. Like it didn't seem like they were in space. You know what I mean? Like it didn't seem like they were like in the upper atmosphere. And they were pretty low.
The light wasn't shining on you or anything, right? Like you just saw them as these orbs or these objects in the sky that mile away, and like, were they moving?
Yeah,
like dancing around, or
they faded in simultaneously. Again, like if you were to make a line between them, it would have been like a 45-degree angle. And then it was like really graceful, just kind of like dancing. They would do like figure eights, and then they'd do like helixes up and like come back down, and like it was like it was just really graceful. And like for a long time I had a theory. I was like, for the past few years I had a theory until the last time I went down there. And my theory was, like, I had once heard David Fravor, I'm sure you're familiar, he was on the Nimitz, TikTok. He was like, oh man, like we used to freak people out. Like we would see people with fires on the beach, like campfires, and he was like we'd go straight toward them and like turn our brights on, looking right at them, and start going around like this as they're going in. And he was like, and then we just turn our afterburners off and go straight up backwards. Yeah. And so I was like, maybe that's what it was, And
so when this was happening, were you and your brother like talking about it?
No.
Or was he silent, or like you guys were just like, whoa, just locked in on it?
We were just locked in on it. And it probably only lasted a few minutes. But yeah, at the end, they did just go straight up like that. And so yeah, my excuse was the whole, that's how I explained it away. But yeah, my brother was just completely silent the whole time. And then like after they shot straight up, like breakneck speed, just gone.
Like all the way up? Like you just see him just go? Or was it,
both
50
of
feet
them.
and then it's okay?
No, both of them just straight up till you can't see him anymore. And so like, we're looking around but my brother's just like slackjaw, like, and I'm like, dude, what was that? Like, what do you think we saw? And he said, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. Let's go back to our tents. And then he just turned around and started walking. And I'm like, all right,
Wow.
like, I know my brother, and he's always been terrified by the prospect of aliens and UFOs and stuff like that.
There's definitely fear, right? He was afraid.
Yeah, so I explained that away too. Like he wanted to push it out of his mind. But the thing is, we were like at least 3/4 of a mile away, like our tents were. And I asked him a couple more times, like, dude, like I'm kind of scared, like what do you think that was? And he just like didn't say anything. We get straight back to camp, and like he's stone faced, like no expression, like nothing. It's like he's not registering that I'm even talking to him. And we get back to camp, and he just crawls in his tent and goes to sleep. I was like all like freaked out, like, dude, we don't have a fire out here, like it's like pitch black out here, like my brother was just like, he just went to sleep. And I'm like sitting there like thinking about it. And then like I don't remember like getting super freaked out about it. I was just like, whatever, like he's just scared, like it's probably not a big deal. And like I went to sleep. And then in the morning, like I was kind of excited about it. I was like, dude, like what do you think that was? And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you don't remember seeing this, like those two white lights, like those crazy lights? And he's like, no. And like for the next like 20 years, like I think I had asked him maybe like 3, maybe 4 times over the course of 20 years. And every time he's like, dude, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then since I've been at home doing like the whole stay at home dad thing, which is awesome, by the way. I've been getting on my wife's nerves. She's like, you need to get out of the house, stuff like that. Like, you need to get out. And I'm like, yeah, okay. She's like, how about this? On Thursday, I'm going to do a girls' night. So I need you out of here by Wednesday so I can clean and like do whatever. She's like, my sister's coming over, and we're going to spend time with Audrey, our daughter. And so it's just going to be the 3 of them. They're just going to watch movies all Thursday. And I'm like, okay, sweet. So I get to leave Wednesday, and I can be gone until Friday. All right, I guess I'll do you a favor. No, but I'm like, I get to go fishing for 3 days.
Yeah, you're twisting my arm, huh?
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, sweet. And like I get all my stuff packed in the car and everything. And I'm thinking about it, like, where am I going to stay when I go down there? Thinking about that spot got me to thinking about like when I saw those lights with my brother, and I was like, Coomer Ridge, like I used to camp down there with my brother a lot too. And I'm not like super close to him. I don't talk to him a whole lot, but I was like, let me just shoot him a text. Like, hey dude, I'm going down to Coomer Ridge. Like, do you remember when we saw those lights down there? And he texted me back with an exclamation point, which I don't think I've ever seen him use an exclamation point. He gave me an emphatic, yes, I do remember those strange lights. And I think I included that, like the back and forth of that text in that Reddit post. But yeah, like and he texted me back right away, which he never does. Like it'll be like days, like before he'll text me back. but it was like an immediate, emphatic yes. I do remember those lights. It's like, whoa, okay.
Dude, so let me stop you real quick. Did you guys talk about it at all?
No,
like
I
via
still
text? He didn't
no.
say anything?
I told him that I was going to be on a podcast, and I think he said like, "Oh, whoa, like that's crazy" or something like that. But that's pretty much it. Like,
it would be nice to know what his recollection of it is.
I know,
now, right? Like do you both remember it the same way? You know?
Yeah. I really wish I would have asked him a little bit more about it, but like if you knew more about our relationship, like it would come off as kind of weird if I just started like
right,
like probing him about
the fact
that.
you got any response at all is probably good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I'm not crazy. I actually did see that stuff.
Well, yeah, there was finally some validation right there, right? So you're like, okay, well, I know we both saw that now for sure.
Yeah, especially since like he's such a no nonsense type of person. I know he works with like really sensitive stuff involving like plane engines and stuff like that. And I think I had asked him before, like, how do you like your work? And his wife just immediately chimed in, he hates it. And so like my brother was like, he didn't have to say anything. I think he was just like, oh, thank God I don't have to talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
you had your wife said, dude, you got to get out, having a ladies' night. And so you went back to that area again.
Yeah, but on the opposite side of the gorge. So like the gorge, it's like think of it like a bowl, right? Or like think of it like a miniature Grand Canyon, right? So like you can be on one side looking towards the other and like, see that it's at like the basic same elevation on both sides.
So you go out and then what?
So the second time I go out there, and it was pretty late, so I didn't even have a chance to drive around. And sure enough, campsite 6 was open. And it's one of the better sites down there, in my opinion. And it's where I always stay anyway. And I'm like, sweet. It's like one of 2 or 3 spots that's open. Like,
real quick, with these campsites, are they close to each other? So do you see people like from your campground? Can you see other people's campgrounds? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Like maybe 30 yards or so. Like, I don't know. Okay. I'm pretty bad at distance, but like it's like, during the day, it seems like they're pretty close. But then once the sun goes down, it's like, you feel like you're in your own little pocket kind of thing. And
yeah.
And I'm like, this is sweet. So I'm sitting on my center console, and one of these people on Reddit commented like, dude, you better have your camera ready in case you see something. And I'm like, that's in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm not going to see anything. But I have my phone like next to me, and I have service, which is weird. So I don't know if that's just because of like development or whatever, but normally down there, you don't get any type of service. To my left, where those 2 guys were that I thought like, oh, if anybody's going to make any noise, it's going to be those guys. I see out of the corner of my eye, it looks like they had built up their fire. And I'm like I can see it on my periphery, but I never looked at it right away. And I'm like thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe they are going to be hanging out for a while. That's fine. Totally cool. They're being quiet. Like I can't hear them or whatever. And then as soon as I look at it, it's like it splits into 2, and it's at that 45-degree angle. And I'm like, okay, these are taillights. Maybe those guys were just like idling in their car for a while, and they had both of their cars parked next to each other. And
but so this is at eye level now for you, right? You're not up in the sky looking at this. This is like you're looking over at, your neighbor's campground.
So they're almost flush with the ridge, but since it was dark out, where that light was, I can't tell if it was above or below that ridge. It looked like it was like pretty much right along the horizon at this point, right? So I'm like, okay, that's just tail lights, because it eventually split off into 4, and I'm like, okay, two tail lights, 2 tail lights. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, but the distance apart that they are, I should hear those cars. Like they're pretty close to me if those are tail lights. And the way that they're going, the road doesn't go that way. Like they would be going like they would be driving off of the ridge, because they start going up at this 45-degree angle, and then I don't know if you notice in the video, like towards the beginning, there's like some arcing, like towards the two lights that are like the two lowest lights. There's like it looks like some arcing, whatever. And it actually does that twice in the video. So like once after I started recording, which what like when I first saw it, I could not look away from it. But I like in my head I could hear, dude, pick up your phone. Like you have to record this. Like I could see that person's post, like, yeah, something happens, record it. You know?
Right.
I'm like, oh, like I can't look away. And then I finally like break out of it. And I feel like my arms are filled with sand. Like I don't know if I was just like really freaked out, like or what, but like I felt so disoriented. And like I know where I am. I'm sitting in my uh sunroof, like on my center console. Like I've been looking this way for I don't know 20 minutes or something. I think at this point, by the time I start recording, it's already split into those like four at that angle, and then it goes like far off to the right side of the frame, and I have to like chase it a little bit, and it does that little arc thing again, and then it goes off to the far right again, and then it's like they split up, and then it just became like two. Like there were two prominent ones. I don't know what happened to the other like smaller ones, but these two prominent ones are going around. I'm like trying to chase them. And it's like they're just moving so like almost like a laser pointer, but there's no background, and you can see it going behind the trees.
Right.
And so eventually I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna film straight out over Coomer Ridge, like straight out into the gorge, and see what happens. And like it shortly after I just like am determined to hold it still. That's when one of those like red dots comes in from the right side of the screen, and it looks curious. I don't know if you noticed that, but it kind of like it's like a cat looking around a corner. But it comes in, it just hovers there, and then it's just gone. And then they start coming in from like, different angles. Man, I've watched that video every day since it happened. I've probably watched it at least 150 times. It's
so I've seen the video, man, and it's hard because it's so dark, right?
Yeah.
And you see these glowing red things, and it's like, oh, those could be a fire. But because it's so dark, there's like it's hard to tell. Like, are you moving the camera around? Are you how is it moving? But how far did they move? Like you're trying to follow them with your phone, right?
At least 180 degrees, because I would lose sight of them.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Wow. And can you see, like, are they close enough to kind of see what size they are? Like, how big are they? Are they close? I mean, because it seems like they're like in the forest, right? Or they're in the area.
It seemed like they were direct. So if you look at that map, if I had to guess, I would say they're directly over the middle of Sheltoe Trace. So like basically the dead center in that map in between Kentucky 15.
Wow. So do you think this feeling that you're feeling, do you think it's more of I don't know if you're a hunter or not, but do you like a buck fever kind of feeling, or is it something that maybe could be coming from them or from something, some sort of energy?
I think it's it feels so weird saying. I think it is coming from some sort of energy. And I know what you mean by buck fever. I don't hunt deer, but I have like hunted rabbits and squirrels, stuff like that before.
Right. Yeah. And I've gone hunting, and there's times where I can't pull my bow back, and I've pulled this bow back a million times. I can't even function. So I've had that feeling before where I get so like rattled that I can't think straight. So, I mean, that's what it kind of sounded to me. But I'm curious what you thought if it was something other than that. They're very
Yeah. I mean, I've never felt anything like that before. The best way I can describe it is I felt the way that my brother looked that first time. Like just like in just disbelief. Like you don't want it to be real. Like it was so Like it shook me up so much that, um, well, I slept in my car that night, and the only thing I had out on the picnic table was my cast iron skillet. That's the only reason I didn't leave that night. Like I didn't want to get out of my car. You know, I was like, I'm gonna wait till the morning. I'm gonna grab that fucking skillet, and then like I'm gone. And so yeah, so the next day was girls' night, and I was like, well, I can't go home, so I ended up staying at the Holiday Inn down the street from my home.
So, like I wonder, like see me, and it's just me. Like I would be. I mean, I'm an old man, so I'm like, I'm ready for aliens to take me away. So I'd be chasing that shit. That's what I would be. I'd be trying to find it.
I thought I would too.
It's just a whole different feeling, though, right?
Yeah, like when it's, people are afraid of what they don't understand, and I don't understand like how that made me feel. Like, what is the coincidence between after 20 years, my brother's like, yeah, I do remember that. I'm like, okay, well, that's crazy because I'm going down there tomorrow, and then.
So do you know if that area is known for seeing stuff, or is that just like is it just you? Is it possible that the other campers that are full campground might have seen something as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was hoping that I was going to see, in particular, this one guy that I had talked to when I first got down there, because he was also looking for a spot. He had his camper with him. But in the morning, it was so early when I woke up. Like as soon as the sun came up, I hopped out, grabbed that cast iron pan, threw it in my car, and I was gone. But I was looking for people on my way out, again, hoping to see that guy in particular. But I mean, nobody was out. It was so early.
Were you still freaked out that early in the morning?
Yes. Oh,
or the next day? Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the same feeling? Like, were you sluggish, unable to think, or like slow thinking? You know what I mean? Or was it?
No.
You were still just like, I'm just scared.
Yeah, it was like the kind of scared you get when you're a kid when you see a monster in your room, like kind of thing.
Right.
It's just what is that? Like kind of thing.
Right. You seen that movie Fire in the Sky, right? Have you seen that movie?
Yeah,
Fire in the Sky? Yeah.
That,
you don't want that happening to you.
Yeah. I don't want to get abducted by some weird gray aliens and put in a little sticky pod and stuff. Travis Walton. Yeah, Travis Walton. Right.
That took place here in Arizona. That was over where we camp out a lot.
Oh yeah, like in the logging areas, down the logging roads.
Yeah, Pine Top area. Yeah.
Cool. But I would say like after that second experience, and let me preface this by saying like these are just dreams, but I've had some of the most vivid dreams since then, and I mean, I chalk it up to me thinking about like, like now I have this stuff on my mind, like aliens and stuff like that. And so it's like, if I'm going to have a nightmare, there's a good chance it's going to be about like some stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right. You try to rationalize your feelings and what's happening. Right. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and do you normally dream? Like I don't dream that much at all anymore as an adult.
I do. I'm a crazy sleeper. Like
Me too. I dream.
I've been known to sleepwalk and I sleep talk.
Okay.
But yeah, and I get sleep paralysis too. I don't know if you've ever experienced that.
No, I have not, but I heard about it. So in your lifetime, besides those two incidents, have you ever seen like other stuff like just in the air that's, questionable? Or is it just those two times?
It would just be those two times, except, well, no, there's one with my brother when like I was a very little kid, but again, this is like, I must have been like 7 years old or something. So it's so long ago, I don't know how much to trust my memory, but it looked like a set, like we were camping in our backyard in suburban Cincinnati, right? And I think we were just on our backs in the grass, just looking up. And it looked like a satellite. So like if you were to hold like a silver dollar out up towards the sky, so like that diameter, it looked like a satellite, but it was doing like circles like that. And and like they were slow. Like it would take like maybe 3 seconds for it to complete the circle.
Wow.
It was as big as a silver dollar when you were holding it?
No, that's the radius of the circle it was doing in the air.
Yeah. Okay. Like it looked like a normal satellite. But neither one of we were so young, we didn't know anything about satellites or anything like that. But I remember it scared us when we went inside and we slept inside that night. But I mean, that's pretty anticlimactic. But
yeah, no, I mean, we have like, I know, I don't know if we discussed this in one of our podcasts, but when we were young, Chris and I, we saw the lights over Phoenix, or it was before the lights over Phoenix big UFO thing that's happened here. It was years before that, but we kind of remember it a little bit differently. But it was so long ago. It is hard to remember all the details and try to decipher what I thought I saw, what I did see, what it could have been.
Right.
But when we were kids, I was convinced it was UFO. I mean, I remember they were calling the news channel, and it was even on the news that like the whole neighborhood was seeing.
See, no, this was nothing like that. It was like this could have totally just been boyhood imagination type thing. But it's like we wanted to feel like big kids and camp outside in the backyard, and we put the tent up and everything.
Right.
But
so how long ago was this second time? How long ago was that exactly?
I'll have the exact date for you. Let me check here. This was October 11th, 2023. At Site 6, cost me $22.
So since then, you've still been kind of having weird dreams, or is it kind of like, is it fading? Is it just as strong as it was?
No, it's fading out. It was really strong at first. Like the first night I only slept a couple hours, and I had some sleep paralysis, but that's normal for me. Like whenever I sleep on my back, I'll get like sleep paralysis, and it's pretty common for me to have like a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream. If that makes sense. Where it's like, oh, I'll wake up from a nightmare, and I'm like, oh, thank God, it was just a nightmare. And then I'll wake up from that, and I'm like, oh, thank God, that was just a nightmare. You know what I mean? And then like it'll go on for a little bit. And like sometimes, like you can open your eyes, and you're like, "Oh, dude, just roll on the floor, you'll wake up." You know what I mean? Like, you got to wake up,
right?
And then eventually, you do. But yeah, I slept. I think it was for like 2 hours, and I had it's a very common sleep paralysis dream where you feel like there's like a being in your like periphery that you can kind of barely see, and a lot of times it seems like they're like manipulating you or like working on you or something. And then when you wake up, it's common. Look it up,
dude. Yeah. No, I've to me, this opens up a whole nother door with ghosts and demons and shit to me. But but that's like I've seen a lot of stuff like that. Chris is a non-believer, but I believe it. But
they're dreams. That's why I preface with that. But like, I mean, how much do we know about sleep? Right. But and then like once you become aware of them, then you wake up and you're like, oh, thank God, it was just a dream. But it feels so real at the time.
Right.
It's a dream.
Yeah. It's a dream.
Chris,
like
it can also be a particle. What's that particle that if you look at it, it stops moving, but it moves when you're not looking at it?
All particles.
Yeah,
exactly.
Level, I think so I mean, like, why can't a dream be the same kind of?
I'm with you,
like
but
that?
it's but do you factor in like the way the brain works, right? Like you're
exactly. Yeah,
you have so many different chemicals going through your body, through your brain.
There's a lot of factors, not just your.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying it makes sense when like if it's a dream, like crazy shit can happen in a dream. You know what I mean? So I'm just it would just freak me out to have. I probably would have sleep issues if I had sleep paralysis, because like it would freak me the fuck out to like wake up but not really be awake, and then think that somebody is working on me.
Or like
that sounds horrible.
Yeah, like there's something in your peripheral vision, but you can't turn to look at it, or even if you're trying, but you can't. Oh my God, yeah. See,
I would hate.
One of my
I wouldn't sleep.
I mean, you would, because like it's rare, like it. For me, it only happens if I sleep on my back, particularly on the one couch that's upstairs, like pretty much right above me. But if I sleep on my back,
get a new couch, man.
It sounds like that room's haunted.
I don't sit on that couch when I'm tired. I will not sit on that couch when I'm tired. I'm not kidding.
That's what I'm
you.
saying. Like, you're scared of it. I mean, I would be too, man. Yeah.
And like when I am sleeping, if I'm like, oh, like sometimes it just feels good to lay on one side or the other. I'm like, oh man, it feels good to sleep on my back. I'm like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Do I want to wake up mid surgery? Because that's what I'd be thinking about.
It's like you don't feel anything, and like I don't know. Like it's just like any nightmare. When you wake up, you realize like, oh, it was just a dream. So it couldn't have been that bad.
My wife had surgery like 8 years ago or something like that, and she woke up mid surgery.
Oh,
It was like they were getting some clot out of her or something like that, and flat out woke up, and they're like, "What? Crap! Knock her back out!" And she was crying because it hurt so bad.
That's what sleep paralysis feels like. I wonder if it if it's related in any way to like anesthesia. Because I've been put under like many times.
Yeah, I have too, and I've never woken up. Thank God.
Yeah, no. I was not numb all the way when I got a vasectomy. That's the closest I got.
Yeah, that sounds horrible too.
It was horrible. I'm like, I can feel that. Ow! That's how it was.
Well, did they numb you after? Like,
no. He's like, well, you should.
They just kept going.
Yes. You say, well, you shouldn't feel that because we gave this much. I go, I can feel it. I can feel. And then like they started, because they cut it. I felt like they did the one side and I couldn't feel anything, just a little tug. And then on the other side, I felt the tugging more. And then they snipped it and they tie a knot in it and they put, but then they solder the ends of it. And that's what I felt was the soldering the ends. And I'm like, oh my God, the pain. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't feel that. I'm like, well, I fucking feel it. Yeah.
No, you don't. When your wife woke up, what did they do? Like, do they give her more anesthesia?
Yeah. So, they have the anesthesiologist there, like, monitoring. And he was like, oh, shit, and then pumped her full of something.
Dial it up.
I should say that's what I'm assuming is what happened. I only know, the doctors mentioned to me that she woke up, and then she told me she woke up, and I just know that and then she went back under. So I'm sure they obviously pumped her full of something because it was, they had like her,
Yeah, I mean, she's hooked up to IV. I just gotta put whatever in there, right?
Totally. Like, we're more that Michael Jackson drug.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's like my
propofol, I think is what it's called.
Propofol, yeah. That's like my biggest fear, though, is waking up during a surgery.
Yeah,
dude. So I think Chris had asked this a little bit, but is that place Red River Gorge? Is it known for sightings?
I've known people personally that say that they get a weird feeling down there. It is home to the Shawnee Indians, I guess. The Shawnee, I think maybe Cherokee. I don't know. Not real sure on that, but there is like some sort of like aura to it. And I don't know if it's just because the landscape is so dramatic and different from what I'm used to or what. Like what it feels like to be in a national park.
Well, they have those areas. Even isn't Sedona have like that weird vortex feeling places?
It does, yeah.
Like there's vortexes in certain place that I don't know, is it the magnetic field or something's off or a little bit?
But dude, do you believe in that?
I don't know. I'm sure. Why wouldn't it be?
Dude, I'm all about like nature and healthy and whatever. I mean, I'm not that healthy, but Sedona and the vortexes, it's like this hippy dippy thing, and which is like cool, but it's
But have you ever been there?
It's like praying to the rain gods.
Have you ever been there? Have you ever like went around that vortex? I mean, people say you get.
Of course not. I'm just I'm just judging without ever.
Yeah, I know. That's my
how
point.
I do it.
That's what he does.
Okay.
He judges. So, but like supposedly you get some sort of your equilibrium.
It starts with a vowel.
If I say
Equilibrium gets thrown off, or you feel a little weird, and maybe it's a place like that. Maybe it has to do with magnetic field.
As much as I equally want to believe in that kind of stuff, I kind of equally don't, because I don't want to be freaked out.
Right.
Like weird stuff has happened to me in the Red River Gorge, but also I have spent thousands of hours there. I used to go down there every weekend.
Like what's a weird thing, like chased by a bear?
So this is where it gets strange. All right, this Chris H, this will give you a little nugget to chew on. All right, I was down in the Red River Gorge, so we were hiking Sheltowee Trace towards Coomer Ridge. I was down there with one of my favorite hiking partners. His name's Dave. He's got a solid head on his shoulders, and I know like if anything goes wrong, like he's the person to be with. Like he's gonna keep a cool head. He's gonna calm you down and be like, look, this is the best thing to do in the situation, whatever. But we have been like, I've hiked Sheltowee Trace so many times, and it's like it pretty much just goes along the Red River. Like it's not easy to get lost, especially if you've been there a whole bunch of times. And so we were you hike along the river for like, I don't know, 3-4 miles, and then cross a bridge, and then you backtrack and you go, I mean, it goes for many miles. I don't even know, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 miles, whatever. But we had just doubled back. So like we're close to our cars still. Like our cars are like practically on the other side of the river at this point. And I'm like, hey, Dave, I'm going to take a leak. You keep going. I'll catch up to you, man. And so I just like hike off maybe, I don't know, 20 meters, like just so that I'm in the leaves, that so somebody else on the trail isn't going to see me, like,
right.
Take a leak. And then I come back, I get on the trail and I start hiking. And there's like an entire crown of a tree had fallen across the trail, right? So it's like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet diameter. Like it's a big tree. And you know how it is. You just like, okay, well, I guess I got to like kind of jungle gym around this crown and then find where the trail picks up and then just keep going. It happens, And so I go around this fallen crown of this tree, and I'm not picking up another trail. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. So like go back around the other way, and I'm like, dude, this it's such an obvious trail. Like what the hell? And I'm like, okay, I'll just go back down to like the spot that I hiked in from, and I can't find that. And then I'm like, I'm just around this tree crown that is like, you can encircle it, and there's not a trail leading in from it or out from it. And it just feels like the canyons on either side of me just go
suddenly
like
they're 300
vision.
feet taller.
Yeah. And like the trees, like it just gets darker, and like your vision, like you get tunnel vision. I'm just like I went around it a few times, and eventually I'm like, all right, I just need to stay here. Dave will come back, and like we have this this thing, like if we lose each other, we go like real loud. And so I just did that a few times and didn't hear him. And I just sat down on a log and just waiting for somebody to come back, like waiting for somebody to realize that you are lost is like the most excruciating thing in the world. You're doing your call, and like you're not hearing anything back. And then like eventually I did hear him. I heard like a distant, I'm like, oh, thank God he's coming back.
10 minutes feels like an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. It could have only been 20 minutes or something, but it definitely felt like an hour. But the crazy thing is, he came back. And when I heard him, I just went around the tree a little bit. And there's a tree, like here comes Dave right down the trail.
The trail was right there the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Like, but how did I not see it, man? I went around like that whole crown of that tree. I couldn't even find the trail I came in at. It was so crazy. The only other crazy thing, and again, this isn't like anything supernatural, but my best buddy and I got struck by lightning when a storm came in. We had just got done cooking dinner, and we're like, thank God we're up on this rock shelter. And we go down in the rock shelter, and it's like within 5 minutes, the shelter gets hit. And like, I'm sitting on a wet rock with a soup pan up to my face, and he was standing up to the right of me, and like he fell backwards. And we look at each other, and like, dude, his eyes were like the size of saucers. He's like, we're both like, did you feel that? Like, yeah, I felt that. We got to get the hell out of here. It's like we were more afraid of the trees that were falling.
Right. But didn't think about the lightning.
Yeah, and we didn't realize it, but apparently it's a really, really bad idea to go into rock shelters during electrical storms. And I mean, we had no idea.
Is it like the iron in the rocks or something that's guiding the lightning to it? Right? I wouldn't have thought that either.
And then the water, right? It's wet around there, so it's also.
Yeah, so I think the dry pocket inside has something to do with it, like the charge in the air. But Chris H, I think you have a point too, though, because the Red River Gorge is known for having iron concretions in the sandstone, so they're like iron deposits. So I mean, that makes sense. Like, I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but that seems like it would make sense to me.
But you know, it's not a good idea. That's
I found that out.
I know,
yeah. Dude, so were you different after being struck by lightning? Like did anyone, like, it didn't affect you? Like there was no long-term effect from it?
No superpowers, no nothing.
No, it's just like, I don't know if you've ever been shocked like accidentally by an outlet, or like if you've ever taken apart a camera and like touched the wrong part of the inside of a camera. Like, you know, it's just like that. But it's like everything just went like bright. It was like daylight for a second. But the craziest part was that I didn't hear any thunder. Like I didn't hear any sound from it. We both looked at it, like it didn't like rock our worlds or anything like that. But we both immediately looked at each other like, did you feel that?
Like you were able to pee the same afterward? Like there was no issues across the board? You were fine other than
a little shock?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a direct hit. Like it hit that rock shelter.
And it probably dispersed, and then
you
guys got a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, I still, I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah, you could have been on top of that. It would have been worse, though, right? So, I don't know. What poison do you pick there?
I don't really know, but man, we left all of our gear there, and like there's trees falling, and we get up to my buddy's truck. I don't even know if I want to. Okay, so we get up to my buddy's truck. We're like, we need to get out of here. But like right as we're getting there, we can hear people. It's these hillbilly guys that are young, like, help us, literally saying, we have women and children. We're like, what? Like, it's like we're in a movie or something. We're like, what do you mean? And they had trees I think they had 2 trees that had fallen across 2 of their tents, and none of them were hurt. They were all fine because they were getting ready to leave too. So nobody was in their tents, and they're like, can you help us load our stuff into our trucks? And we're like, sure, yeah, we can do that. And I was 18 at the time. And I'm like, I'm helping them move all their stuff into their car and everything. I'm like, man, our stuff is still... No, it wasn't. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Kentucky, but like
never.
I've seen movies.
Kentucky people. Not West Virginia people.
I've seen Deliverance. Oh, West Virginia.
Yeah, okay. Not West Virginia people. We're talking, I mean, they're like, Kentucky people are good people. We're about to fuck up in this story. So we're moving all their stuff. And I'm like, all of our stuff is down in that valley just getting soaked. And we're just trying to like get the hell away from trees and lightning and like get out of here. You know, we can come back for our stuff later. Nobody's ever going to find it down there. And I'm moving this cooler to their car, and I'm like, I'll bet there's beer in this cooler. And so kitty 18-year-old me opens up that cooler, and I pull out 4 Budweisers and a bottle of, like, a half-finished bottle of peach schnapps. And I hide it behind a tree. It's so stupid.
And, dude, taxes. Hey, you know what? Taxes have to be paid.
You know what? That was your. You were paid for that job. That's okay.
That was all their booze. No, it's about to get worse.
They asked you to. They were yelling, "Women and children are here." Right? Like there's a cost to be paid.
We have women and children, and they did need help. I mean, their tents had trees across them, and so like my buddy and I aren't together at this point. Like he's moving stuff and I'm moving stuff, so like we're crossing each other. And then
Are you like, hey, dude, I found some beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
schnapps, man.
Yeah, exactly. And so like we're like, okay, let's finish getting these people's stuff in their truck, and then like we'll just drink. In my truck, my buddy had this like shitty F-150. It's like the most uncomfortable seats in the world. And so we get in there and like, dude, yeah, okay, we're like kind of in a clearing here, so like, I'm not worried about a tree falling on me. Like, hopefully we don't get struck by lightning. It was like a crazy electrical storm. It's so we get in the truck and we sneak all the beers and schnapps back, and I think I drank all 4 of the beers, and I think he was just drinking the schnapps. And so it's like the rain is starting to let up, and we're like, okay, let's at least get away from these people before they realize that like we just stole some of their beer. And we're like, we're just gonna go down the road and like find another spot to like hang out. Like the storm's over, and we get around that first corner, and there's a tree across the road, like a big tree, and there's other cars that are waiting to get out, and we're just like, oh shit. And like we get out of the truck and we talk to some other people, and they're like, yeah, so and so had like connection or whatever, and like the fire department is on their way, but they're not going to be here until like this morning or whatever, like early this morning. We're like, oh fuck. So like we kind of tried to like go back and like park a little tucked back in a way. And like we had already killed like most of these Budweisers and schnapps, and sure enough we see these flashlights coming straight towards the truck.
Of course it's them, right? It has to be them.
Yes. And they come up to the window. I think my buddy even wound down at the window before they even came up to knock on it. It's like we just knew, like, fuck. We're like, hey man, like we know you got our beer. And you're like, my lady's bitching about that peach schnapps. She wanted her peach schnapps. At this point, my buddy had poured the peach schnapps into a Gatorade bottle because he thought it would be more discreet to be drinking it out of a Gatorade bottle. And so he just like I'm looking down at these cans by my feet. My buddy just sheepishly hands over the Gatorade bottle. The guy sniffs and he's like, I'll take what I can get, kind of thing. And then they leave, and we're like, fuck, dude. Like, so we just had to sit in these super uncomfortable seats in this F-150, like until the fire department came. We just had to watch him like saw this tree up. Like, oh man, this is the craziest night I've ever had in my life. But yeah, it's like, it just seems like, again, I've been there so many times. So like stuff like that is going to happen when you're out in the wilderness. Stuff like that is going to happen. But it's just like that place, the Red River Gorge. It just seems like it happens there so frequently, and it just has it just gives you this feeling. If you've never been there, go. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I feel like that's something that I would have done, dude. And I don't think there's anything. And maybe I'm wrong to say this. At 42, I might have made the same decision you made at 18. You know what? Yeah,
tax, like Chris said, taxes. I mean, like, and those guys shouldn't have said, "Hey, these guys who helped us took my beers." Oh, I'd be like, okay, well, at least they got something for helping.
I've taken more, but dude, we should wrap it up. I appreciate you coming on, man. Just reaching out and you being willing to share your story. I don't know, it's cool.
I really appreciate being on, man. Yeah, I had a lot of fun too. It's good to bounce this stuff off of other people, and hopefully somebody hears it.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully, if you go back out there to that gorge, hopefully, or I hope something else happens. Hopefully, it's safe. But I'd be looking forward to more stories.
Well, dude, thanks. If something comes up, reach out, man, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I had a lot of fun. All right, take care, guys.
All right.
Yeah, dude.
See you.